I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. I'm Justin Davis. Today I have another honest to goodness review for you, and we're going to get real about the Hglrc Mefisto 5-inch 226 Stretch X class FPV race or freestyle quad. We're going to test it out on several different props today. We're going to use the Azure power props. These are the 5150s from Azure, brand new. They just came out, and I have a ton of them in here to test. We're also going to test out some Dow prop 5150s as well. This is a nice low pitch, really narrow prop. It's going to give you a nice quiet sound on your quad and going to be very, very awesome on the performance scale. Very, very smooth and powerful, and you're going to get a longer flight time on the 5150s as well, so a little bit more narrow than your typical freestyle prop. But we're going to test it out on 5 and 6S as well. I'm going to show you how fast this little guy can go. We're also going to strap a GoPro up here so you guys can see that. But what I was most impressed with is the way it flies. It flies on rails. I've said that before about quads, but this one is extremely locked in, and I didn't see any prop wash coming around from big power loops or really hard turns. I didn't have any lumber in the frame like I've seen before. Some other gyros kind of freak out when you make a hard turn. This one hung in there on the really hard turns, so it's really, really impeccable as far as the flight characteristics go on this quad. I mean, extremely impressive, 5 stars right out of the gate. Now, also, we're going to give away the Tiny Hawk this month. December 2nd is just coming a few days away, so make your comment down below. Let me know where you're from. And as always, please do support me on Patreon so I can keep these coming. I'm trying to get up to 200 supporters. If you want to grab this quad, by the way, you can get this one on their website. It's $280 for the 6S version, and I believe it's $260 for the 4S version. But in my opinion, go for the 6 because $20 more and you can run all the way up to 6S. If you're brand new to the hobby, start out flying this quad with these low KV motors on 4S. It's going to be nice and tame for you. Work your way up to 5 and 6S and you're going to have a drag racer here. This is really a really fast quad. So let's go ahead and get started with the review. We're going to take this out flying. We're going to do some line of sight flying with it with my GoPro, and then we're going to strap a GoPro up on top. We're going to do some flying with the GoPro, and I'm also going to show you the FPV footage from this quad. You're going to be extremely impressed. Better than the Batman 220, absolutely, hands down. The Mefisto is killing it. So it might be quad of the year, and it's only a month to go before 2019. So I'm very impressed with the Mefisto. I think Hglrc put all the right gear on this one for you guys. For under $300, it's actually kind of crazy. So let's go ahead and get it up in the air now, and we'll do some line of sight, some FPV, and when we get back, we'll put it on the bench and we'll break it down for you, and I'll show you what's special about the Mefisto. Here we go, guys. Enjoy the flying. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it up in the air for you. This is where I really get to know a quad. Before I FPV any quad, I always start out with a line of sight flight, especially after I've set it up in beta flight. If you're brand new to FPV, make sure you do that line of sight first. Don't try to maiden flight in your goggles, because I've had people fly up and hit themselves with their 5-inch race quads. It really sucks. But you get to know a quad a lot by listening to the tune on it when you're flying at line of sight. This is the most important time, being able to know that your quad is flying without a lot of vibrations, a lot of oscillations in the frame. Sometimes the motors can have quirks, or maybe you just have something hitting on the frame. If you have any type of hitting on the frame, if you hear a little tick 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 on the frame, you might be severing a motor wire, or something might be snagging on the prop. So try to land it pretty quickly. But I noticed that it had plenty of punch, very, very precise. I was able to do multiple flips in acro mode, flying it around for you in line of sight right here, and it was really responsive on the throttle. I had plenty of throttle bounce and punch out, and it feels really, really good. Nice solid hover. The tune feels absolutely perfect on this quad, so I'm really excited to fly it for you guys. FPV. Let's test out some batteries. Here we go, guys. Let's do it. So now we get to show you some FPV footage. I have that FPV view at the bottom right hand the corner. Look at how solid the VTX is. There's a couple of flashes right there when I flipped around a different direction, but look how solid it is, just flying around out in the field in front of me. That is a really solid connection. This is a beautiful VTX. If you have flown with other types of setups that have even the tiniest bit of feedback. This is really nice. This far away, I'm about 2 football fields away right here, and I'm still getting a really nice transmission back to my goggles. And I don't have an extreme setup on my goggles or anything like that. Now back to the GoPro view here. This baby is super locked in. Flying low to the ground, really easy. If you're flying this on 6S, you're going to get close to 100 miles an hour with this particular quad with the right props. If you want a little more speed, you can use a little more pitch in your prop. Go for a nice speed prop, and I can make some suggestions for speed props if you want. Or if you want a freestyle prop suggestion, I can also make those. But so much control on the yaw, the aileron axis, the roll and pitch. Really locked in, flying straight and true. And keep in mind, guys, I'm flying a lower camera angle here, so I'm actually not all the way up past 30 degrees like I normally fly. So right here, I'm really just trying to show you guys some nice smooth flying, but also with a high throttle. And nice to make some nice straight down dives when you have a lower camera angle. If you have a super high camera angle, your dives can be a little more almost inverted at times. And this really is a big open field quad. Look how much ground this quad covers. It is extremely fast if you want it to be. And right here I'm just cruising, enjoying the control, getting used to. This is my second battery on the quad. So right now I'm just getting a little more familiar with the new quad that I'm flying. It's kind of like driving a new car for the first time. That feels really good in your hands. Kind of like when you first drive your first BMW. BMW is a bit of a driver's car versus Mercedes is more of a rider's car. Some might disagree with that, but I think the BMW drivers really endued the feel of the road, the grip of the tires on the road, and I really feel the road with this quad a lot, so to speak. Look at that, inches off the grass, just really giving that battery some throttle, boosting back up in the air. It's a little bit of a knife edge twirl there, back around. I feel like I have absolute control. I feel like I can go out anywhere in this field and do anything I want. Over the tree knife edge, which is a little risky. Usually don't do those until I've flown a quad a few times. Going back into this little trail here. This is sort of a little trail I can get low on and go through here. Cruise. And look at that. Almost zero flutter in that really hard maneuver. Change of direction and back down the trail here. This thing is absolutely ripping. The motors, listen to the motors of this quad. They sound different than some of the other motors I've ran recently. They have a more of a kind of a sports car beastie sound to them. They are just really beefy sounding. And look at the fall colors. It's really nice out right now. Most of the leaves are gone. We have a little bit of orange left. And man, you can go way up high with this quad with that XM Plus full range receiver, no problem. Plenty of range, reception range on the XM Plus, no problem. I've never actually had one fail safe on me, but I usually do try to proximity fly a little bit here. Plenty of time to do some loops on the way down, back to that little trail. This quad is really locked in. Airbus F4, I've put this on other builds and people have asked me about this before. It's a little more expensive than some of the other flight controllers out there, but you're getting everything along with it. 60 amp ESCs are going to handle anything you throw at it, all the way up to 6S. The VTX that comes along with it is awesome. I love it. I've ripped it off several different quads and put it on long range type builds. I've got another one that runs, they make another one that runs up to 600 milliwatt, and that'll get you out there pretty far. You want to get even further, put 800 on here. But this one has plenty of range for medium range to short range proximity flying. And back to the goggles is really good reception. I'm also trying out a new Foxeer patch antenna that they just came out with as well. So that really cleans it up a lot. But the ultimate control, I had no problems flying this quad. This was the first quad I flew all day, and after this I was not feeling all the performance from the other quads that I felt with this one. So this one made a huge difference coming back into land. Completely satisfied with this quad. Definitely a 5-star experience out in the field. No problems at all. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. Let's go ahead and unbox this one right here for you. This is the way it comes. This is the non-receiver version. Comes with this fatty Hglrc Pagoda. Very nice antenna. And let's go ahead and pull the quad out and also show you what comes in the box really quickly here. We have some gem fan props. These are nice. I did test these out for you. They do just fine. If you want to just stick with these props to start with, let's just check on the size of these for you. I'll take those out of the bag. Kind of a clear, almost like a purplish color. Let's see. What size did they throw in the box? Gem fan 5152 SR. 5152S. So your R would be your right turn prop, and your left turn prop would be S. So these looks like 1.5 sets in the box that you get. You also get some extra screws in here. These look like, no, they're not low profile nuts. So I actually prefer the standard size motor nuts over the low profile ones. The low profile ones are nice. They're supposed to save a little bit of weight off the quad, but these are a little bit taller and your driver doesn't drop off of them. The low profile nuts kind of bother me sometimes because when you're trying to tighten them down, the wrench falls off the nut. So these are nice. Those are full size motor nuts there, and some M3 hardware in each pack as well. Those are probably extra bolts for the bottom of the frame for your motors, but you want to be sure that you match those up so you don't damage your motors. You also get an Hglrc Tech little strap in here, and this doesn't look like the best strap in the world. It looks like a non-plastic coated strap, so just make note of that. That's going to be a temporary strap. This might actually break if a 6S battery got ejected off the bottom of this quad. And also, by the way, if you can pull this off and put a regular piece of Velcro here, this will be better than using this right here. This little rubber stuff usually has the battery flying off the bottom in a really hard crash, and it will break this strap. You also get some stickers in here, which is really cool. You get that awesome little T-Rex that they always include in most of the stuff that they ship. And you also get the Mefisto manual, and I like their manuals. They're very simple. It's just printed on a single sheet of paper. How to set up your S-Bus, frequency control, Betaflight OSD. I have the latest Betaflight on here as well. The transmitter actually transmits up to 400 milliwatt, so that's really awesome. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bands, including race band on here, and they also give you a schematic of the Airbus F4, which I really like. So if you have to take this thing apart, you have something to look at physically instead of on the computer. This is really nice that they have that. And it also shows some information on the GTX 220 version 2. That's that awesome video transmitter that comes along with this one. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later. A really nice, solid transmitter. I've used this on other quads and wings, and I get a really good performance out of that. So let's also go ahead and grab the quad itself now that we're done with all the accessories and break this down. Now, we do have 4mm replaceable arms. It is a Stretch X. You have a bottom plate down here that's also 4mm, and we have super thick front walls. Those are 5mm on the side walls. We have 2 aluminum standoffs in the middle. We have some more hardware coming up through the bottom of the stack right here, locking these sidewalls down, so it gives you a little bit of extra protection there. And you have some dampening underneath the ESC and the flight controller here on the top and the bottom of the flight controller. So the way this one came set up, this is a plug and play receiver version. This does not have the receiver come along with it, but they do have that little plug there. In the very back here, you have a flat spot, and normally this would be for where your GoPro is going to mount. You don't need a couch GoPro that has any tilt on it. This is just going to be a straight mount whatever your TPU mount is that you put on top of here, you will have some room right here to run the strap through, closer to the front, and then you can put your mount on. So any kind of tilt is going to be too much, because it's going to throw you up in about 80 to 90 degrees, which you don't want. Now I have another one over here that I set up already that has that flat spot here. I had my GoPro running right here with the same amount of camera angle right here. I actually flew it a little bit lower camera angle because I really wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit of slow flow style flying and try to take my time a little bit more with it. But this is definitely a 6S ripper. Now one other thing to note is that they had the antennas already set up here on the front, but that's in the way of the camera, so I moved them to the back. So not too hard to do. Just take a pair of snips, snip those off, and move those to the back if you're going to run a camera on the front. If you're just going to record DVR, don't worry about it. One really nice thing that I liked a lot about this is look where the receiver is. The receiver is right on top, really easy to access, and they didn't block the button that you're going to use to bind. So I'm just going to keep zooming in there. You see that gold button right there? That's what you're going to press down on your XM Plus to bind it up to your radio in D16 mode. So that's already ready to go. They have that somewhere where you can access it. You don't have to take the frame apart to bind up your receiver, which is a really nice option. Now, if we look on the bottom right here, look at the solder joints down here. Look how shiny these are. These are nice looking solder joints from the factory. Everything that comes from Hglrc seems to be built really well. This is a company that you can buy stuff from. You're not going to have to worry about it puffing white smoke the first time you plug it in, or something not working on the quad. If something doesn't work on the quad, let Hglrc know, and they're for sure going to help you out with that. But on the very bottom of this stack is really where the engine, the meat of this quad starts out. And this is the dyno shot, what they call the dyno shot 60 amp BL Heli 32 ESC setup. You will need to use BL Heli 32 configurator. Don't try to use the BL Heli configurator. It won't work with this one. Also, the bummer about BL Heli 32 is that that configurator only works with the PC. It doesn't work with a Mac yet. So I'm yet to find a Mac version. This also has a peak current burst up to 70 amp, which is kind of crazy. One of the most aggressive type of ESC setups that I've seen on just about any quad. A very, very nice setup for your power system. Now on the very back right here, your XT60 comes out right here, and they had just hanging off the back, like this one right here is an example of how it comes from the factory, like this. So you're going to want to take a zip tie and zip tie this off to the bottom of the frame. Make sure it's not touching the edge, but you do have kind of cambered edges on this. They are beveled edges, which is really nice for the carbon fiber. They've gone up in the quality of carbon fiber a lot with Hglrc stuff. When they first started out, they were a little bit scratchy. I used to get some carbon on my hands. Same thing with iFlight though. Everybody's coming up and up in their carbon quality because they know that we all want good quality stuff. They also have two zip ties here to keep these motor wires from going up into the props. And I'll just show you these flame motors up close right here. We have 2207, and those are 1775 kV motors, so a low kV motor. And what does that do for you on 6S? That's just going to give you a much better, more efficient flight time. If you run something like a 2300 kV motor on 6S, you're just going to eat up the battery super fast, and it's not going to be as efficient for you. So the whole point of running 6S is more power and more efficiency with that higher voltage battery. Very, very nice for the power system. And if you look up at this very top layer right here, that's the Airbus F4, one of my favorite flight controllers on the planet from Hglrc. You know it's theirs because it has that iconic red color. They have RSSI on the side right here that is not hooked up yet. You have a bunch of different UARTs. I believe there's like 4 to 5 different UARTs available on this one. So if you want to use another camera that has a smart audio type setup, you can hook that up and also do camera control on that flight controller as well. So you do have some other RX tabs there for something like camera control. It's pretty sweet. In the front right here, you can see that RunCam Swift 2. That's a full-size Swift 2. I had very good luck with the full-size Swift 2, 2.1 millimeter lens with the Sony 1/3 sensor in there. A very nice camera. And on the back right here, if you look in just a little closer, you can see that you do have an OSD configurator port right there, right there behind the camera. So if you want to go in there and change around your scene settings, you can change it to different profiles and things like that. Now, even though this one does come with an XM Plus receiver for FreeSky radios or Taranis, you can also set this up. This Airbus flight controller does DSMX as well as FlySky or PPM even if you needed. So very open-ended for the receivers. You can put any type of receiver you want on this particular quad. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on the scale and let's get you a weight with several different types of batteries. We have a 6S, we have a 4S, and a 5S battery here. It's a 1300, and a 1050, and 1050 milliamp per hour is what most people usually use for 6S race quads. Let's go ahead and put it on with the props on there and the prop hardware, to be fair. 317 grams with the frame and all the gear that's on here. Let's go ahead and put the 1300, 4S 1300 battery on there. Let's just balance it on top there. Under 500 grams. That's really, really awesome. I just want to see that again with my own eyes. 485 grams total takeoff weight. That is awesome. So let's check out the 5S 1300 as well. So 5S 1300 is going to get us in the 485.7 grams. That's competitive. And that is a Venom battery if you guys want to check those out. Those are performing really well for me. You can see it hasn't swelled at all. I've used it a bunch, and these are also doing really well. The GNB 1300s. And the Pulse 6S battery. This is also a really nice battery of choice for 6S. And under, wow, even lighter than the 4S battery. 483.6 grams total takeoff weight. That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. So we're saving a little bit of weight by using these more narrow cord props. The 5150s are just a little more narrow, but really competitive weight for the Mefisto compared to some of the heavier quads out there. This was why this one flies more like an ultralight, even on 6S. All right, guys, let's go ahead and summarize this quad for you. Let's go ahead and sum it up. Let's talk about the good stuff, the bad stuff, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. You have plenty of room for camera tilt on here. First of all, you have a ton of camera protection from the sides right here. You have 2 points for adjustments, and if you want to put two screws through there, you can do that. I actually took that top screw off because I wanted less tilt. If you need less tilt, it's just not going to line up properly for 2 screws. If you want more tilt, this amount of angle that they have set here, this is going to accommodate for more tilt versus less. So if you get under 20 degrees, and I'm still well over 20 degrees right there, at least 25 degrees. If you get under 20 degrees, you're not going to be able to use 2 bolts in there. That's just one thing to note for you guys. Also, I really like the thickness of the frame. I like that you can get extra parts for it. The 5mm side plates are super awesome. One thing I don't like is the vertical mounted antenna, and I've said this a million times on my channel, do not do that. Manufacturers should run the antenna out the back and have it bend down if you crash. If you hit something solid right here, it's just going to shear this off and it's going to break right off. They do have a UFL connector, that sort of IPEX connector under here coming from that VTX. You see that wire right there? That wire is running around, snaked around all the way back to that connector right there, which mounts solid to that flat part of the quad right there. So one thing that I'm not a big fan of, it is on a little bit of an angle, but not enough to really be effective. I've seen other companies mount them backwards on that back rail like this, sticking out back there. That's a much better design than being almost vertical like this one is. So, you know, I could maybe take a point off for that, and that could make this 4.9 stars. But I feel like everything else on here is 5 stars all the way around. Great capacitor on the back for cleaning up the video. So really clean video. My favorite part about this was the video. When I first powered it up, I was impressed with how clear everything looked. I've had other quads lately that had not quite as good reception. I've been flying a lot of whoops. So I was really impressed with this and how clear everything was right on my first flight. Absolutely beautiful. Also on here we have recessed hardware. Notice there's nothing sticking out on the side right here. On this side, everything is recessed. On the bottom of the quad, recessed hardware here so it's not bumping into your battery, which is also a very nice detail. Out on the outside edges, we have 3 screws for the motors. 1 screw kind of eliminating a little bit of weight. You don't need it. 3 screws will totally hold your motors on just fine. and plenty of room to put a strap through here. Really easy to give your strap through there. You can see that space through there running just underneath the ESC. And I think they probably could include a little bit better strap. I think they should probably upgrade to the plastic coated straps and make that a little bit better value for you guys. Kind of like the guys over at iFlight do, but this will do for a starter strap. Also, I'd like to see some metal buckles maybe on some of their neck straps. A little more expensive to manufacture, but well worth it for the customer. But again, my rating has to be 5 stars for this quad. This is almost, I would say, quad of the year. The Mefisto is absolutely insane. I think you guys would love flying this one. If someone flies this and doesn't like it, please comment down below that you didn't like it or why you didn't like it, because I would really like to know why you didn't like this quad. It would be just very stupefying to hear that you didn't like this quad if you actually flew it. One thing that I really liked about it is the diversity of battery use. You can also use from 4 to 5 to 6S on here. The versatility of the motors options as well as prop options. Every prop that I flew on here flew well. I didn't have any jitters. I even think if you had some terrible stock prop, they weren't gem fans or something that came along with these, maybe some Banggood props that came in some of the SkyStars quads might actually fly on this quad because of that Airbus F4. And props are everything on a race quad. It really does make it a much better quad. At the end of the day, you're doing a lot less tuning with a really nice prop. Now check this out. I'm going to try to get my camera to zoom out as far as I can here. Notice that I have 2 of them, and if you're still watching the video, good news for you is that this is part of the December giveaway. So from Hglrc to you guys, I'm giving one of these away right here on the channel by January 2nd. So surprise, make your comment down below for the Tiny Hawk and for the giveaway for the Mefisto. This is the P&P version, no receiver along with the one that I'm giving away, but a very, very nice giveaway. So we're going to announce the rest of the giveaways coming up in the 1st of December. So Santa Claus is coming to town for sure, guys. But I appreciate you guys watching my channel and all my reviews. I'll keep them honest and I'll keep them coming to you guys. I appreciate it. Please do subscribe. I'm Justin Davis. Take care, everybody. See you on the next one.